Majority of Americans are worried about the state of our economy and what it's doing to the pricing of goods. But what isn't as obvious is that some retailers are actually using this to take advantage of consumers. Would you be surprised to know that your popular stores hike their prices under the guise of inflation? Comment a quick yes or no down below. Also, food inflation is expected to become even worse by 2023. It's also worth noting that despite price increases, many people depending upon SNAP and EBT food stamps benefits, portions continue to become even smaller. And more information comes out about big tech companies colluding with government officials to censor Americans during the elections and even during the health crisis. Do you feel like this was done to you? Welcome to today's video for your daily dose of the truth when it comes to our economy, the stock market, global happenings, and much more. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Appreciate you guys dropping a like for the video. And if you own a home, make sure to get your free home warranty quote. The link is in the description down below, you guys. All right, guys, so price hikes in our local grocery stores are easy to explain. Inflation is just much worse, and we just have to live with budgets that are worn thin by the economy. Yep. That's it. There are times, though, that these unfortunate events are taken advantage of by sleazy individuals just so that they can make huge profits in their businesses off of our pain. Now, in a very viral video with millions of views already, a Walmart employee was caught increasing the price tag of one of their items by over 350%. Now, while it might be an error on the employee side, the truth of the matter is that Walmart, out of all the food retailers in this country, they are leading the way in increasing their prices. In the past year, those who did their shopping at Target, Albertson, and Walmart have seen an increase of 13% in their grocery bills. A JP Morgan survey found that quarter over quarter, Walmart raised their food prices by 5.5%, and Target slowly followed but closely at 4.6%. Now, if we go by the data between July 2019 to July of this year, grocery prices at the retailers have risen 21.5%. Now, the problem with averages is that it makes it easy for retailers to bury necessary food items that have high increases, and with smaller portions, kind of feels like we're getting bamboozled twice. But again, this is the average. And if we handpicked a few of the more popular items that they have, the increases become a lot bigger. Now in the meat section, chicken breasts increased by 31%, while ground beef saw an increase of almost 20%. In fruits and vegetables, bananas saw price raises of almost 28%, while sweet onions saw a staggering spike of 165%. In beverages, Pepsi's price spiked by almost 68%, and Heinz, the condiment, increased by 41%. Eggs and milk, some of the most common items that we have in our houses, they saw an increase of 126 and 150% respectively. But basing the pricing on all 34 grocery products that were included in this survey, one would have had to spend around $153 back in 2019. But in 2022, it would cost $186. This is an increase of almost 22%, and comparing that to the average weekly earnings of all employees right here in the United States, which increased by about 15%, the purchasing power of the employed American dropped by almost 6%. And so this is why it is not surprising to see that 90% of Americans are now concerned about food prices. Libby Looney, managing director at the Harris Poll, said this, quote, "Initially, concern was highest around gas prices, followed by groceries and other forms of discretionary spending. But in the last couple of weeks, groceries have become the #1 concern for Americans," end quote. Now, even though it's true that dining at home is a lot cheaper compared to eating out, buying our ingredients costs much more today, which in essence seems to be linked to eating out a few years ago. Financial freedom is no longer enjoyed by many, and fears of a recession and mass layoffs have had more people second guessing their purchases. There's a handful of people who are now working from home, more than one job, and despite that, they're still finding ways on how to make money from home. The anxiety that the next day could be their last day where you're let go from your job is high, and with less and less opportunities for higher paying jobs available, more Americans are now flocking to cheaper stores. Quote, "At the same time, traffic at dollar stores and discount chains has been through the roof compared to 2019. Foot traffic by dollar stores rose by 20.4% at the Family Dollar, 28.2% at Dollar General, 34.1%. So what this means is that there is less food and less product available for the lower income Americans. So families depending on SNAP and EBT food stamps benefits may see less inventory to choose from. Why? Well, because the higher income earners are also trying to save money. And where do they save money? Well, they buy cheaper stuff. And they're buying from the same places that SNAP and EBT benefits recipients would normally choose from. Even the middle class is being forced to look for better deals. But the most dire part of all of this is what Kyle Herrig of Accountable.us just said. According to him, the recent earnings call that have only reinforced the familiar and unwelcome theme that corporations did not need to raise their prices so high on struggling families. The calls tell us corporations have used inflation, the pandemic, and supply chain challenges as an excuse to exaggerate their own costs and then nickel and dime consumers, end quote. The bleak outlook has around 7 in 10 consumers expecting a worse run for 2023, and with layoffs about to spike, even worse times for the common American. Times are so tough that food banks are now struggling with the holiday season, meaning that more and more of us are relying on them and SNAP and EBT benefits for proper nutrition, as we ourselves are starting to lose all power to purchase what we need. Now, the worst part of it all is that none of this is sustainable, and with food supplies expected to be short soon enough, some families, they're going to be left out in the cold when it comes to food. Although there are things that we can't speak about as freely today. China, who has seen a flurry of protests in the past days, have asked Apple to censor their people by limiting their use of AirDrop. Just weeks before the protests broke out, the sharing feature that relies on wireless connections instead of the internet was limited as it was beyond the control of internet content moderators. With it, people could freely share media, files, photos, and videos within a specific range to all iPhone users. But with the update, the option to receive AirDrop from anyone now had a limit of 10 minutes before switching off, meaning that the user had to manually check this or their setting will revert back to contacts only or receiving off. The most controversial part of this update is that it was only applicable for iPhones sold in mainland China. Apple has a history of bowing to China's strict controls. We've seen this before, and for good reason, as their consumer market in the country has grown from 11% in 2021 to 16% this year. It sounds pretty similar to what was done here as per Kevin McCarthy when he said this around August of this year. Quote, the FBI colluded with big tech to silence news stories weeks before the 2020 election in an attempt to control your access to information. Democrats in Congress have been intentionally ignoring the facts. When Republicans are back in charge, we will hold all of them accountable, end quote. Now, the mere mention of anything like this would have one labeled as a conspiracy theorist. But as confirmed by Mark Zuckerberg, the FBI went to him directly to downplay anything that had to do with a particular person close to the 2020 elections. Now, it bears a very strong resemblance to the leak that was posted online about the Department of Homeland Security, where they worked with social media platforms to create a backdoor so that they can censor whichever post that they wanted. Vijay Agad, one of the first people let go by Elon Musk where he took over Twitter, was one of the driving forces behind the DHS and their mission to censor people on the platform. Now, it really makes you question a lot of things, but one very important question you should ask yourself today is, are you really free in the land of the free? What are your thoughts on today's video? Feel free to share your insights in the comment section down below. Now, before I go, make sure to smash the thumbs up button for the video. And if you're new to the channel and you want to keep updated with everything that matters to you regarding our economy, your money, your bank account, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because if you want the truth, y'all know where to find it. Appreciate you guys watching. You guys are all awesome. This is Ron. I wish you great health and better days to come. I'll see you on the next one.